Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Christian Roberts. I'm here with my fabulous friend and co host,
Quo Johnson.
and we are back with another episode of Taking the Stage with Christian.
And Quo. Of course, we would like to start all of our episodes with a land and people acknowledgement because it is important in the work that we do. It is important in the connections that we create. It is important in truth telling and accountability and in healing the harm. So I would like to start by saying that we in Dallas are on stolen land. We are on the land of the Caddo, of the Wichita, and of the Comanche sovereign nations. Nations that faced horrible conditions, that faced genocide, that faced policy that allowed for their forceful removal by any means necessary. We are on stolen land that is built by stolen labor. I do want to acknowledge that individuals were stolen from their home off the coast of Africa and brought here and enslaved and forced into labor. Being a descendant of one of those individuals, of several of those individuals, I do want to take the time to acknowledge that being in stolen land that was built by stolen labor allows us to benefit in ways that are different in a lot of different spaces. So I do want to take this time to uplift our communities, to center truth and connection and how we go forward in healing the harm. We did not create these conditions, they are all inherited, but we also inherit the honor, the ability, the capability, as well as the connection necessary to start to heal the harm and move forward together. So I thank you for joining me in this land and people acknowledgement.
And we thank you for joining us for today's episode. We always want to give a shout out to our boy, David Lameli.
Hey, David.
TDO Network was a concept that came from his brain, so we very much appreciate it. Shout out also to the Dallas Opera staff for your continued support, and of course, you, the audience, for your continued support. We simply could not do this without you. And so today we have a guest who has a special place in our heart. We say that about all of our guests, but this one here, we've been on her show a couple of times now. So we thought it was high time she should come and be with us. We've been trying to do it. It's just that she's a very busy woman.
As she
So
should be.
today's, as she should be, okay. So today's guest is Renee Ombaba from Black Women in Opera. She is actually the founder of Black Women in Opera. And so welcome, Renee.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So Renee, let's talk a little bit about yourself, your background a little bit. Where are you from? And how did you get into opera?
Okay, so before I even start, I just want to say I love how y'all have these radio voices. I just wanted to say Kicks at 107 after y'all introduce yourself. His voice. Okay, all right, y'all sing. Okay.
I was gonna
All right,
say, you
speaking in
got
the right place. That's not gonna be me because I am from Jackson, Mississippi. Okay.
come on, Mississippi in the
I
house.
am
Yeah.
from the deep south. This vocal coach told me that he's like, you probably a lot of women sing low in their voice because they want to be sexy. I said, baby, it ain't got nothing to do with sex, nothing. Okay, I sing low. I speak low because that's how we talk in Mississippi. Okay, no, but seriously. So I got into opera at a very young age. I was in the church. My mom was the janitor for the church, so we would go there on Sundays, clean up the church, and my sister and I would just bang on the piano, and that's all we would do. So this lady in the church, being shady as church ladies can be, in all the glory, said, "You need to put them children in some music lessons." So she did, and we got into music. We started playing piano at a very young age, and we got into performing arts school. And I just really loved music. I always loved it, and I always liked singing because it was like the more glamorous thing to do. But it wasn't until I was introduced to Kathleen Battle that I thought, okay, maybe opera is something I can really do. And I already decided I was going to be an opera singer. So I was like, okay, there are Black people doing this too. Okay, let's go.
Come
Okay,
on.
yeah. So that's kind of how I got into opera.
Yeah, see, representation is very real.
Yeah.
When somebody who's
Proper
a
representation,
proper,
honest
because
representation
because
that
we
honors
know
who
that
we are.
our yeah,
Right.
and we know that some of our elders had to come through some very difficult things in order for us to be able to see them there. So Renee, so you're from Mississippi, got into opera because a church lady said put those babies in music. Your mom answered that call to do that. What? So you and this may be what inspired you. Was Kathleen Battle your inspiration? Is she one of your inspirations, or
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't know who she was at the time. I didn't know who
yeah.
she was. I just saw a black lady in a red ball gown, and I was just obsessed.
Yeah.
So, as I got older and I realized who she was, I just realized she was definitely one of my inspirations. Her voice type is not like mine, but she does have, like, that sweet lyric type voice that kind of, is similar to mine. So that was helpful to, like, want to be like someone whose voice type kind of matched mine in some way. So she's always been like somebody who I felt like kind of changed the opera game a little bit because of the way she looked and the way
Hmm.
she the roles that she got, because she was always like the sweet, beautiful, admired person, not
She's
really
a soubrette.
distressed a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, it's distress, but it was like an admirable distress. It's
yeah.
not like oh my god, my husband don't love me. It's not like that kind of distress. So
It's
she
not like
really
Omneris,
My
stress,
husband don't love
or
me.
Macbeth stress.
okay.
Whew.
I'm trying to kill everybody. No, but
Yeah.
yeah, she definitely represented something new in the opera scene, and I just really love listening to her, and I mean even to college, I just would listen to her and just imitate her.
Mhm.
That's understandable. I completely understand that. The voice is so unique, and so beautiful. And you're right. She played what we call the Ena roles, the Pamina, Serlina, all of those roles. And she's just incredible in them. So you're right. It was you. We saw a different type of person cast in those roles where they
Yeah.
hadn't been before. So she did break barriers in that way. So thank you for sharing that and informing some of us and reminding some of us of that. You're absolutely right. So tell us a little bit about this is a good one. Call my ask us this one. What is your earliest opera memory?
Earliest opera memory, will probably have to be before I can even remember, because my mom would play classical music in the house all the time.
Mhm.
So she would definitely do that because I don't know, how they be saying you're just gonna make you smart or whatever. So she wanted
Yeah,
us to be
the
like really
Mozart.
intelligent.
Yeah.
Yeah, them little tapes and stuff. But I remember going to see Madame Butterfly in the fourth grade, and I was
Oh.
just so amazed. And I mean, we were as bad in elementary school. So when the villain came, especially whoever the main person is, the sailor or whatever, the Navy person, he came, we
Pinkerton.
booed him or whatnot.
Pinkerton should
Let's
be booed.
Right.
Pinkerton is garbage. Okay, let's be real.
Should be
Pinkerton
booed.
is trash. He does some trash things. Okay.
Listen,
Yes,
listen. That means that y'all were into it, right? Y'all saw this
Yeah.
exactly.
individual doing what he was supposed to be doing and
Hmm.
becoming this character. You did not care for the character, so you booed the
Yes.
character. You had very natural responses, natural reactions to what you're supposed to do, as opposed to sit and still be still and be quiet, because we don't respond to anything else like that
Hmm.
ever.
No.
So, fourth
Yeah,
True.
grade, get booed, Pinkerton.
yeah.
Exactly.
So
It's
we,
well, and it's one of my, and that's one of my, actually one slight beef that I have because even when we're doing simulcast out in the park, that raw audience reaction,
Hmm.
to when Tosca stabs Scarpia and the audience go, yes, or like it's that real raw response. I love it because I'm like, that's what opera's supposed to do. That's what it's supposed to do. You're supposed to have
yeah.
that kind of response to that kind of storytelling, and those kind of
Yeah, and I
moments.
feel like as in elementary school, we really did that. We were moved by the music. We were moved by what was happening, and we said the truth of what was happening. We didn't like you. We didn't understand that he was playing somebody. We just didn't like you, and I feel like that
Oh,
moved me a lot because he was able to get into this place where he was vulnerable, to a lot of children,
yes.
and he was also like really showing his best work, and we just were really just in love with it. I mean, I was in love with it, and just the work that he did. Because I mean, not that I wasn't impressed by Butterfly, but it just was like Pinkerton really just was able to be this villain, and I love a good villain. So that's kind of my earliest memory.
Very
That's
cool. That's
beautiful.
so dope. That's so dope
Yeah.
in so many different ways. And it just calls to mind the reason why I do the kind of work that I like to do. It's that reaction from kids or first time opera goers that floors me every single time.
Yes.
So I kind of want to segue into another direction, but I can't think of a glamorous way to do it. But I want to talk about Black women in opera. Okay, look, we're gonna talk about this organization that you have started, that you have put your your heart and soul into. So let's talk about it. What inspired this work?
So, during Black History Month of 2019, I said I wanted to do something special for Black History Month because I like to talk a lot. As you see, I feel like we all, like all three of us, love to talk.
Oh yeah,
So it always works out.
we all in this together.
Come,
So I want to
come
leave
by it
paragraph
honestly.
long captions in the on Instagram. Nobody gonna read that. But anyway, that's what I like to do. I want to share that knowledge. So I said, okay, for these 28 days, I'm gonna talk about things I like. I love Black women and I love opera. So I want to just talk about Black women opera singers. And I mean, by day 15, it was a wrap. I said, I'm never gonna get to this. I'm literally never gonna get through enough women because I was like, okay,
Mhm.
let's do one a day. Oh, I gotta do two a day. Okay, maybe I can do just 5 pictures a day, and then that'll be it. Still wasn't enough. Was not enough. So I looked around to see what was Black women in opera looking like on Instagram and online and stuff like that. I did my due diligence, and there wasn't a lot going on. It was probably maybe one or two posts or whatever. So I said, okay, I'm already using this hashtag. Let's just make it an account. Making an account, and that's the rest is history. Honestly, I've learned a lot over the years. I mean, it's been 2 years. It's our second anniversary. We're a toddler now.
Yes, congratulations.
Yes, I have a toddler, and yeah. So this is I mean, it's grown a lot, and I'm like really grateful to see the changes. It's um it's a lot of push and pull with my own personality and figuring out like how to manage the reality of who I am and the reality of what this can be and what people really need right now. And
Hmm.
I mean, it's a lot. I mean, it's really, really a lot, but I'm grateful to be on this journey. I'm grateful to be pulled and pushed in ways that I haven't been before. And I'm grateful to get kind of what I want because I don't want to work. I don't want a job. I want to do this. I want to help Black women feel empowered. I want to help Black non-binary people feel like, okay, I can find my space in opera and I can make it look like this. Because everybody trying to do something that is so traditional. And I just want to show people that you can make your own path. People before you have done that, they
Yeah.
literally make their own path. So just make your own path, you know?
Yes.
Sounds like a mission to me.
Yeah.
And I love it because very much in so many spaces and in so many ways, if we do not create our own path, then there will not be one laying out for us, right?
Yes.
We will not
Yeah.
have a path laid out for us that we can just, oh, we're going to go this way, which is why we're still seeing so many, the first Black person to do this,
Mhm.
the first
Yes.
Black person of this orchestra, the
Right.
first of this, even though so many of these organizations have been around for centuries,
Yeah.
right? In their own ways, but at least a century, and then at least half a century. So we have quite a few organizations that have 50 plus years, and this is their first Black something something.
Mhm.
When we've been here since the formation of this nation,
Mhm.
since they stole the land and killed all the people. So
Yeah.
we want to be mindful of what it means for us to create our own. Very much about that, for us to create our
Mhm.
own, and then for us to open paths for others so that
Yes.
we continue to have this flow of what it means to actually have proper representation and authentic representation and just agency in this field. We cannot
Mhm.
continue to ask for permission for people to do things. And so I love that you saw that there was a need and you decided to go for it. You decided to do what you needed to do and what you knew was necessary for yourself and for others. Because a lot of times it's not just us, we're not the only ones who need it, others need it as well. And to provide what is honestly a service so that people get to see it, right? So you saw Kathleen battle, and in this beautiful way, you've created a way that is a catalyst for so many others to see their own versions of Kathleen battle, right? They see their own Renee's, they
Yeah.
see their own everyone else, and so I think it's just this beautiful way of showing that not just resiliency, but that creativity and the understanding that we do it because it needs to be done, but because we can and because
Right.
we should, for those paths to open for others. So I love it
Yeah, and
myself.
that's what I really want, honestly. I want, like, I feel like I've seen a 600% increase in the amount of Black opera content online. And I'm talking, I've been, when I started this, I was seeing Anamorpho every single post. It's like nobody knew, no other opera singer, not a Black woman, but no other opera singer but Anamorpho. That was all I saw. And then Maria Callas, of course. But I'm just like, okay, there's so much more going on in opera than just those two singers, and they're beautiful singers. But just like, I mean, honestly, let's talk about it. So I've seen like a 600% increase of Black opera content online. I've seen much more involvement of Black opera young artists in young artist program in the last 2 years. I've seen a lot more Black opera singers do things that are not opera related. Like they just going around singing, doing whatever, for whatever program or whatever, still bringing opera to other parts of the world. So I've seen all those things happen. And that's what I want to happen. I want to make opera popping again. Let me say that.
That's right. We want to get it popping again.
Yes, I want to make opera popping, not again, just popping, period. So so I just wanted to be like, how back in the day, I feel like Jessie Norman like really set the standard of like being a popping opera singer, because she was everywhere. Leontine Price was everywhere. And I feel like that was a different time, but I mean, we can make it work now. Kathleen Battle was on the Grammys one time.
Well, and has to, that's the other thing too. We saw people in the pop circuit, like you would literally see them at award shows. Like Placido Domingo would be at award shows, and Jessie Norman would be singing at different award shows. She sang at the '96 Olympics. Let me tell you something. I watched that. I remember watching that, and I remember her singing "Faster, Higher, Stronger," and I was blown away by this magnificent sound, like, and all of this glamour. And then of course it's the Olympics, so I almost always ball at the opening ceremonies anyway, just because it's so cool to see all these people from all over the world come around. And I will never forget that. And I remember her singing that and just how glorious she stood there. And I remember thinking to myself, that's us. And then at the same time, Whitney Houston could be at the Super Bowl killing the national anthem. And since then, everybody's trying to match that standard.
Yep.
So it showed us it's in different lights. So I'm with you on that. I'm sorry I got a little crunk about that because it's true. There's always been a period of time where somebody was doing something for opera. I think about Denise Grace. She was on Oprah. She was on Oprah's Legends Ball. I mean, all these different things where they're putting us in what we call mainstream. And so opera is not this fringe thing. So yes, I think what you're doing is fantastic for that, because people have to understand that it's a part of the musical world as well.
It's part of life.
It's part of life.
It's part of life, because I also want to make it clear there's always this distinction of, well, we're not pop and we're not trying to be pop. We're not trying to be mainstream. This is opera, without understanding historical context. Opera was the mainstream, right? And it wasn't until we started to create this segregation and lean into the segregation and lean into this certain century or this certain sound and lean into the very unique ways that the United States segregates people and separates people, that people did not have opera for the common person, right? And so even as it started, yes, for aristocrats and things like that, but that was claimed by the common person. That was claimed by the everyday person. That was entertainment, or a form of entertainment, where it was not uncommon for people to at least know, hear, do something that had something to do with some type of musical creation and artistic expression. And so for us to continue to have that separation, it's not necessary. And even in opera, as it is being the opus of work, right? We say it all the time, right? It's the plural of opus, it's the plural of works. What does it mean for us to suddenly pay attention to multiple works that represent who we are right now? Because that is what opera is supposed to be. Right. Not just these beautiful lines or the atonal or whatever we're going through at the time, but it's definitely supposed to reflect the times and reflect the sound of the people who are creating that music and the people who are creating those stories. And I fully appreciate the richness that you bring into the fabric, because again, there's been segregation, there's been separation, there have been assumptions and systemic ways in which people continue to be locked out of this art form. So as we break down those barriers and as we break down those separations that don't serve us, I love that Black women in opera allows us, like you said, you weren't able to get through everything. You started with, okay, maybe one person, okay, maybe two, okay, maybe five. But we have opera companies who's like, I can't find anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody else to post. Get this Black History Month. What should we do? What should
and
we
and
talk about?
and
Where
and
where are the people? What do you need?
and and,
Don't
and
go ahead, Kristen.
the fact that we don't just sing.
we and singing is great, don't get me wrong. We
Yeah,
do more than sing.
but we do more than sing.
And every
Like
singer I
you
know does
just
more than
said,
sing.
Renee just said she's seen opera singers doing things outside of singing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so we have to recognize the whole artist as well and the
The
whole
whole
person.
artist, the whole
There,
person.
yeah,
Yes. And then not just these singers.
yes,
Because then we
Mm-hmm.
regulate people to just entertaining audiences, and most of the time you're entertaining white audiences because that's what that stems from. That
yes,
glorification of the singer, of the Black singer, coming from, yes, Jesse Norman was everywhere. Yes, Marian Anderson was everywhere. Yes, Leontine Price was everywhere. That's because that's the only way they allowed people to be a part of the opera, right? Because you still had to go through a different door.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
You still couldn't leave through the same door as the rest of your co-stars, as the rest of your colleagues. They still had to
I
go
was
through a
read somewhere
second
that
door.
Marian Anderson had to like wash her clothes outside in the alley or something. Imagine having to sing
Mhm.
after that.
Yes.
Who can sing after that? Oh, and I still to
Well,
this
and
day
then you
see
remember
opera
as
singers.
so it just reminds me of Nina Simone as young as the age of 12. She tells a story of playing a recital but refusing to play because her
Mhm.
parents weren't allowed to sit up front. They had to sit behind the white audience, and that was their child playing.
Right,
And she refused to play until they
right,
were able to move up front. And so when we
Right.
talk about these people, and let's not forget her story of not being admitted to Curtis
right,
for classical piano and
Mm-hmm.
how that moved her into the jazz realm, to the blues realm, to the civil rights realm.
right,
But she always talked about being sad about not being able to pursue classical music.
right.
And to me, when I see what you started, was just trying to, you wanted to do something for Black History Month. And
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden it's blossomed into this whole gigantic thing. You were like, a month is not going to get it.
No.
Right,
Because we have been everywhere, but we were deliberately left out.
right.
Mm-hmm.
There was no, and that's not just in opera history. That's not just in
That is
classical
in
music
every
history. That is
facet.
history
That is in
Yep.
every
of
facet in
society.
every sector of our nation and of society. We have been
Mm-hmm.
left out, or we have been diminished or relegated to just this
One
part. You can
thing,
just
a little
play this
box.
role that we
Mm-hmm.
approve of, that we are okay with seeing. And then even in that, only some of you were okay with seeing if you look a certain way, right? So just this beautiful opportunity for people to realize that we have been here.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. The excuse that you cannot find, you don't know what to do. Again, there are individuals, and it's been happening, right? We've had opera companies, we still have Black opera companies. Shout out to Keenan and everybody else. And then looking at, right, I always got to shout out Opera Noir, shout out to y'all. And and in looking at the ways that when you are truly committed to doing things, and you have to step outside, right? When I say you, I am talking to our organizations. When you're truly committed to uplifting and honoring individuals, there are so many. You have such a wealth of options from which to choose, and that is in every identity. We have to jettison ourselves from that narcissism that comes with centering whiteness, right? And centering what it means for this to be a European art form, because it is. It is. We know that the roots come from other places. We know that the roots have longer connections from Egypt, right? But
Yeah.
as we're looking at the actual formation of the art form and the codification of that, that is very much a European art form. But we are not in Europe. We are in the United States of
And
America.
newsflash, Black people were in Europe too.
Ooh, what? They we existed before 1619? What? Yes.
So as we're looking
Absolutely.
at this, and as we're looking at the opportunity to honor individuals and to tell stories, when you look We are there. When you look, others are there and they've always been there. We have to acknowledge that the histories we received, the stories that we received, the narratives that we received are incomplete. So do the additional work. You got to search. And then once you search, there's just this wealth of information. There are people who are already doing this type of work. There are people doing this work in different spaces. So no more excuses, everybody.
It's
And
not no
Mhm.
excuse when it's Google is free. Like I was talking to this other, I mean, and this is, I mean, it's an organization that we know, quote, and I'm just like, you don't know what Jesse Norman looked like. I got to tell you, don't know that she don't look like Sunita Jackson or whatever. So, and I'll send y'all the thing. But I'm just like, you don't know what Jesse Norman. You can't just do your Google and just say, okay, this is a person that don't even look like the same skin color as Jesse Norman. So why would you say that that's Jesse Norman? That don't make sense. So it's just like Google is free. You can try, and that's, I mean, that's a big part of my job is doing the research because I'm already like a super
yeah,
anxious person. I have anxiety, blah, and B, I'm a researcher. I'm gonna make sure
yeah,
I don't get it wrong because they will
yeah.
tell me. I
Yes.
mean, I've been very blessed to have very kind people who be like, "Oh, girl, that's not from that opera." Oh, thank you. I'll fix it right now.
Yes, yes, yes.
But it's just like it's so easy to just go and Google and just look, look again, look again, and
And
look
then
for
look
a third
again.
time because
Yeah.
I just make sure.
It's called commitment
Yeah,
because you have to commit to one to get it right and to the work that it's gonna take to get it right.
And I say
Um,
it's called commitment and it's called humility. Because even
yeah.
Renee, in the beautiful example you just gave us, you don't always get it right. And then people will come and say, hey, that's not from this.
right.
Sis, this is from this. And for you to
Hmm.
respond and say, thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. I will correct it, as opposed to suddenly listing all of the things that you've done with Black people and all the
right.
things you've done or for whatever
Yeah.
community, fill in the blank, suddenly
Hmm.
listing everything and denying, that what was done was incorrect and the impact compared to your intentions. You didn't
Yep.
lead well, my intentions were, you led with, oh, I acknowledge my impact, apologies, or thank you, and I'll fix it and now I know going forward and I can openly share that journey. And there's
Yeah.
so much that our organizations can gain from simply having that humility within the commitment and having real commitment and then having humility to uphold that commitment, so that as we move forward, we're not having this constant back and forth about what do we do, why do we do it, those types of things. Oh, we're supposed to do Black History Month this month, so let's just do it. And
Let's
it's
just do
it's
it on January 31st. Bruh, y'all knew it was going to be Black History Month when it ended last year. It's January 27th. Why are we acting like this? Why are we acting like I'm really frustrated, y'all? It come around every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if they like waiting on a president that's gonna like abolish it or something or whatever. They gonna say, "Oh, it's December. Let me see if they're gonna abolish Black History." No, they're not. Get
Yeah. It's
ready.
you know what, and that's real talk. That really is real talk because the thing is, and that actually brings me to my next question because you talked a little bit about the challenges in the beginning when you were simply trying to post stuff for Black History Month. What are
mhm.
some other challenges that you faced in sort of creating this organization?
I guess it's just like personal doubt because I
Mhm.
mean to just be, I mean, my last name is Ombaba, so you probably can gather that I have African parents. If not, I have African parents. So my mom's from Zambia, my dad's from Kenya, and I grew up in Black community, Black church, HBCU twice. So I've always felt I've always felt a part of Black community. And there's never been a time when I've never felt that, but it's just like I feel like the discourse now, when we're figuring out the nuances in Black identity, the
Yes, yes,
reality that Blackness is not a monolith, it's just
right.
like, okay, how do I fit myself in this discussion? And then how do I understand that there are some privileges that I have being an African person in America? And that's just point blank. That's historical knowledge. That's not like now it started today or it started in the 1980s or whatever, or the 1990s when there was an influx of African immigrants. That started way long time ago, and there's a long history to that. And I committed myself to doing a PhD in that, then finish. But yeah, so I've done the research, so I know what I'm talking about. No, but yeah, so there's been a lot of long history, so I have to understand there's some privileges that I have, and there's a lot of disadvantages that I have. So there's like a little bit of imposter syndrome going on here when I feel like, okay, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right? Am I filling in the gaps right? Am I doing it right? So I feel like that is a challenge, and also just like staying committed to posting because now that there are so many other responsibilities, like we're getting started with the National Opera House, and I think you have heard about that campaign, which is to restore the Opera House, the oldest and longest, or one of the oldest and the longest Black opera house owned by a Black woman. So there's like a commitment to that. So it's just like, okay, so how do I use my skills here? Like, how do I leverage this so I can just stop working a regular job and work this as my real job, just helping Black people in opera, or helping opera, expand itself to other horizons. So that's kind of another challenge, because I don't want to, like, I'm telling you, like, I don't want to be going to no office or be going down to the mall so I can help somebody find an outfit. I don't want to do that no more. I want to do this. I want to commit myself to being creative. Like, that's also another challenge. And then another challenge is that I have too many ideas. I have so many ideas about opera and just how it could be included. Like, literally, okay, this is how I would describe myself. I'm the Issa Rae Oprah of opera.
Issa Rae Oprah of opera. I dig that.
So just like creating content that is for like for our, like, I guess, niche or whatever, like our little small community. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, we are a small part of the world, but we still have a unique story and things that we relate to that could be universal. So I just feel like there's a lot of shows that we could be doing. There's a lot of more recitals and stuff that we could be doing, a lot of more music that we could be presenting. I have just so many ideas because I love content creation. I love creating new stuff, and I love including opera in more things. Like when I was watching Lovecraft Country and Janae was on there singing, I just was like, oh my God, this is it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Opera could be a part of that because it makes sense. So just like managing all my ideas and finding the time to do it right. And also managing the fact that I got to learn Italian. That's a challenge because I can't be sitting hours on here playing with y'all. It's a recitative I gotta learn.
Not playing with y'all.
Not playing with you. Well, and you know what? I will say this. When I think about that, because Quo, I jokingly call myself the Oprah of opera.
Yes, I thought about that the other day.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm about to you. You can.
Well, here's the thing. But with the things that you're talking about and the ideas and how to incorporate it, I have those same ideas of how to incorporate it into classrooms, how to incorporate it into business, how to incorporate it into, I mean, like, there's so many different ways that I see this, where this art form can fit. And the question is, the biggest question is how to get it all done. Because
that's my
challenge.
That's my early call, right? To call to action is that it is time for us to get together.
And get it done.
Happen. I'm looking at everybody on the screen. I'm looking at all of my viewers. Hello. It is time for us to get together so that we can make this happen. There are so many ideas and there are so many ways. So we have to combine our resources. And what that means as we are taking the reins and as we are accepting the mantle and as we are wanting to make sure that this art form survives, it's going to survive, right? Opera is not in danger. Opera is not in danger. Our institutions are in danger.
That's it.
Our institutions are in danger.
That is traditional ways of doing things are in danger.
The way we are doing things are in danger. The way we have been doing things should be in danger. So that's my call to action, that early call to action for us to combine our resources. So be on the lookout for that coming from Black women in opera and coming from Taking the Stage with Kristian and Quo. And this call to action so that, and with so many other organizations and individuals that are also on this strain, right? So that as we come together, there's no reason not to be honest. Right? What is stopping us? So we want to be mindful of those things and, accept my call to action, because that's what I'm going to plug right quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we talking about skills. We're talking about skill sets, resources, the whole nine. So get ready. So we talked about challenges. Let's talk about some of the victories, because I've personally been involved in some of the victories. So let's chat.
So I guess my favorite victory is that I got 12,000 followers. That's exciting. That's exciting. I wish that I had managed it better so I can translate those 12,000 to my actual personal page. And then I can be like an Instagram model. That is like my goal in life. Oh, I could just be an opera singing Instagram model and it would be awesome. But no. But yeah, so that's a victory. I did the conference in October, which was a major victory. Did not think that was possible, and getting ready for the next one. Another victory is just being able to work with an intern last year. I mean, she's so sweet, Kendra Beasley, an amazing singer, beautiful talent. So that was also a victory to just help another black woman in opera figure out how this social media stuff works. And she still helps me to this day because I'd be like, I ain't post that. And then I'd be like, oh yeah, it's probably Kendra. so yeah, that's a great victory. Another great victory is working on the National Opera House campaign. I can't wait to see how that looks coming up. So that's also a victory. And then another victory is just having people be like asking me like, what do you think about this? I'm just like, I don't know why you're asking me. I don't know. I think that's yeah, it's a victory for me to just people, like want to participate in what's going on in Black women in opera. They want to know what's, new, what's current, who can they find to do this? Like this lady called me, can you find me some songs? I'm just like, yeah, I can do that. I need to start charging. But yeah, I can find you some songs.
I was gonna say for a
and
piece.
my fee is.
And my fee
is.
Yeah.
So those are all really victories, and just seeing the people that I work with achieve goals. Like I asked her, I was like, yeah, you're like an opera singer and I'm looking for content. And she's like, well, I don't feel good about my voice right now. And then like months happen and then she's doing this and she's singing this and she's winning this competition and she's doing this. So her voice is just grown into this beautiful voice. And she's grown into this beautiful person over the last 2 years. So those are victories, like watching the people that I've been able to see over a period of time kind of grow and become the people that I know they can be. So that's also a victory. So those are it's always some great victories. Like working with Patrick McCoy is always a victory because I feel like he's like definitely the shoulders that I stand on, because what would this be without somebody who's already doing this work before me?
Right.
Yep.
So those are my victories.
Well, that's fantastic. So I know we need to wrap up, but we can keep this conversation going forever. We just might want to
part
have you
one.
back. This
That's
is
how I
part
think.
one.
Part one.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have you back. Um, I guess my final question is just, um, are there any final thoughts or messages you want to share with our audience?
Um, Black Lives Matter, support Black women. Um, I would, what I really want to see that I'm not seeing enough of is like understanding the intersections between like Black reality. So we don't talk a lot about LGBT in Black community enough to me. We don't talk a lot about people with different able bodies enough to me in opera. And I think that that's somewhere where we're really, really lacking. We don't talk about enough about non-binary people in opera, because I like when I tell you, like I be having to calm myself down when people misgender people on Instagram. And I'm just like, in the year of our Lord 2021, we shouldn't be doing that. So it's just like, it take a lot out of me because I don't like to say something all the time. And then I want to put the other person in a position where they don't want to be because they trying to win this competition and they just trying to make it. I'm just like, okay, I don't want to see you being misgendered right now. So that kind of makes me upset. So I just want to see more about the intersections of our realities. And I feel like that complexity is what makes us beautiful. So yeah, that's my message. There's still a lot more work to do.
And that's the thing. The reality that you see around you is not the only reality that there is. So yes, intersectionality. No doubt on so many different things in this industry. So thank you for that. And where can people find you?
So you can find me at Black Women Opera, Black Women in Opera, because neither Siri or people in life understand the difference between my and my and. So Black Women in Opera. And also at Queen Ombaba, Queen Ombaba. You can find me there doing all kinds of things.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And then also there was talk of t-shirts.
So look, and I
Because
also sell shirts. So if you go to blackwomeninopera.com, you will see a trailer for our little short film that's coming out very soon. And also we sell t-shirts and sweatshirts. And they just say Black Women in Opera. So I
That's how
have
you
dig
get
Black
it.
mine.
Women in Opera, Black Men in Opera, and Black Opera Singer. So you can always purchase those shirts. They're great quality. I've had this shirt for almost a year and it still looks pretty good. I mean, I like it. It's a nice soft quality shirt. You're gonna want one. And then people can just stop you on the street. Are you a Black opera singer? You can tell them yes or no.
We can tell them yes or no, but this is what, and there are Black opera singers, and this is what else we can do. All right, I love it. I'm putting my order in.
You gotta put our order in. All right,
Yes.
Quell, it's about that time for positive notes.
Yes, positive notes. So we've heard a lot of beautiful things from Renee today and been able to go on a beautiful journey with her from how she first came into opera and how she is now one of the leaders in a very necessary, very honest, very centered truth telling that is happening in opera right now. So I take from this in positive notes that you can do it, right? There are so many needs that we have in the opera art form and in our industry right now in our nation, and then just the industry, period, everywhere internationally. But there are so many needs, and we have the opportunity, we have the ability now to start to fill those needs, to start to tell and share that truth, to start to complete those narratives. And as we're looking at honoring the whole person, the whole individual, we find that so much of who we are is this beautiful combination of many works, right? So we are opera in so many ways because we bring so many beautiful things together in who we are as individuals. And that's of every race, creed, color, all of that. It's of every individual. We have so many beautiful things that we can honor about ourselves. For our organizations, this is something that is fairly new in the commitment that we see now, right? There have been individuals who've been doing this work. There have been elders who come before us. There are people now doing the work and holding in the space and standing in the gap. So take heart in that. Know that you won't get everything correct immediately, but have the humility to lean into that commitment and to center what needs to be done. And know that you don't have to do it alone. As always, we have built a community, we're building community, and that community is beautiful. So we want to make sure that we continue to uplift one another in truth, and we uplift one another and we honor one another in a way that honors our beautiful art form. And those are my positive notes.
Thank you, Quell, for those positive notes. Thank you, Renee, for being with us today. We wish you all the success in the world. And of course, you always have our support. So, call on us if you need us as per usual. Um, and then also just thank you so much for the work that you were doing. It is a beautiful thing. It is highly needed right now. But know that you don't have to do it alone, and we have your back on that. And folks, thank you all for joining us and tuning in. We hope we have said something that has been beneficial, that you have learned something, and feel free to DM us, like you said, and ask questions. Follow Renee on Instagram, and be bold, be creative, all right? Commit, all right? And don't be afraid to try something new. Thank you so very much. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Bye.